Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to deep dive into the world of R packages. So we'll start by briefly touching on what they are and why they're useful, but the majority of this video is going to be very hands-on. We're going to create our own simple R package together and then publish it so it's available for public use. So without further ado, let's get into the video. If you've ever used R, you've likely used packages, but what exactly is an R package? Well, simply put, an R package is a collection of R functions, data and compiled code in a well-defined format. Think of it as a toolbox. Each tool or function within the box serves a specific purpose. When those tools are bundled together in a package, they can help you perform a variety of tasks without having to write the underlying code yourself. But that's just one side of the story. R packages are not only useful for accessing ready-made functions and datasets, they also provide a standardized way for you to share your own code, data, and documentation with others. This can make your work more accessible and reproducible. In fact, creating an R package can be a game changer when you're working in a team or developing a software project over the long term. It helps ensure everyone is on the same page, using the same functions, and it allows others to understand and use your code more easily. With R packages, your code goes from a one-time script to a reusable resource, enhancing its value. So today I'm going to take you through the process of creating your very own R package. Let's get started. Okay, so I've gone ahead and made a very simple R script here that contains 5 functions. And this is the code that's going to be inside of our R package. Now what these functions do is basically pull information about a given YouTube channel. So you give a URL to each of these functions and it will print out information about a YouTube channel. So for example, get the subscriber count, get the channel handle, get the video count, and then get the channel name. So I'm not going to bother going over these too much because the point is more creating the package rather than the actual, these actual functions. This is just a fun example. I thought it'd be fun. But we've basically got 5 functions. One pulls the HTML text from the URL, and then all the other functions, as I previously mentioned, get some sort of information about the channel. So before we actually get into creating the R package, I thought we'd just go through and test out this code so you know what it does. So I'm basically just going to copy and paste all of this into my terminal. I'm in an R terminal on the right hand side. And now what we can do is set the URL for a certain channel, and then we can call those functions that we've created on this URL. So I'm just going to do it for my YouTube channel. And then we're going to print out subscriber count, channel handle, video count, and the channel name. So as you can see, we can print out the number of subscribers, channel handle, number of videos, and then the channel name. And by the way, got over 1,000 subscribers as of 2 weeks ago, so thank you to everyone who's subscribing. It means a lot. And then just to demonstrate it can work on other URLs, we'll do MrBeast. 173 million subscribers, not bad. And then just a third example, Ali Abdaal. So that's basically it. It's just a very simple example, quite a fun example. And what we're going to do is going to package all this code on the left hand side here into a package. And that's going to allow other people to pull this code into their own workspace, and they can use these functions without having to create them themselves. So when we create this R package, we want to create it in a brand new folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder. I'm just going to show you guys on the screen so you can just follow along. So I'm just going to call this R package for now, but you can name it whatever you want. We're going to go in here and we're going to open VS Code inside of here. Okay, so now opened a brand new VS Code session inside of this new folder. So you can see this R package folder on the left hand side here. Now the first thing we're going to do is install an R package called DevTools. So we're going to do this via the command line. So I'm going to open a terminal and I'm just going to open R inside of this terminal, and to install DevTools you just do install.packages DevTools, like that. So we'll just wait for that to download. So now that's installed, we're going to create the skeleton of our R package. So I'll just zoom in a bit so this is a bit easier for you guys to see. But we're basically going to use that DevTools package that we've just installed to help us create our R package. So we're going to use the command devtools create. And then inside these parentheses here, we're going to have the name of our R package. So this one, I'm going to call it 𝘖𝗶𝘁𝗵 scraper, just for YouTube scraper. Again, you just replace that with whatever the name of your package is. So then we click enter, and that will probably run for about 20 seconds. So now, once we've done that, you'll see this folder has appeared all of a sudden in our R package folder. And again, you can probably check that again in the UI, in the Windows File Explorer. Let me just zoom out again. And if we look in this folder, what we can see is there's three important things we can see here. Firstly, there's an empty R folder. So this is where our R scripts are going to go. So those functions that I showed you to scrape YouTube information, we're going to put those inside there. And then there's two other files here which are also important. So firstly, description file. This is a file that contains metadata about your package. So got the package name, title, version, author, description, etc. And then there's this namespace file, and we'll get onto that later. So the first thing we're going to do is basically just copy and paste our R scripts, our functions that I showed you previously, into this R folder. So I'm going to create a new file here, and I'm just going to call this scripts.py, .r. And then I'm going to copy and paste the functions from this other file that I showed you earlier. So I'm going to copy this file except for the package imports. So I'm going to leave out these library statements for now, and I'll explain why later. But I'm just going to copy the functions. I'm also going to leave out this part at the bottom with the the URL and print statements. So I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it into this scripts.r file, and I'll just save that. Now we need to make some small tweaks to these functions because we're putting them inside the R package. And so you'll notice we're using functions within our functions, and these functions are taken from other packages. So just to remind you, the rvest and string R packages, we're using functions from these packages inside our own functions. So we have to actually change the way we define them in this R file. We need to add the library in which these functions are coming from. So the way we do that is using the double colon syntax, as you can see in that pop-up just there. So here I'm going to change read HTML to rvest : read HTML. I'm also going to change HTML text to rvest HTML text. And we basically want to go and do that with all of our functions that are coming from other packages. So we've got string extract, which all of our functions use. I'm basically going to go string r string extract. I'm just going to copy and paste this for all the times that we see string extract. String extract there. Extract there. And then we've also got this replace all, which is also string r. Okay, so that's that. We've taken all the functions that are coming from other packages, and then we've just added the package it's coming from, and then the two colon syntax. And what this does is it ensures that the function is being called from the correct package. So the user, let's take an example, the user might have a function, let's say read HTML, that they've created in their own code. So when they install our package and we have, let's say our package depends on the read HTML function, specifically from the rvest package, we want to make sure that we're actually pulling that function from the correct package. Okay, so another thing we need to do is add those package dependencies to our description file. So if you go in this file, description file, we're going to add a line at the bottom called imports, and then we're going to basically list our packages here, separated by commas. So we've just got those two. We'll save that. And now it's time to build and install the package. So we're going to go back to the terminal over here. We're in an R session. And again, we're going to use the DevTools package, this time with the install method. So we're going to type DevTools, : install, and then the name of our package. So remember, we named it 𝗖cie, as you can see up here, the name of this folder. We're going to put that inside the parentheses here. So we're going to let that run. That will probably take around 20 seconds. Okay, so that's now done. Took a little bit more than 20 seconds, but we are done and we have successfully built our R package. But we're not done yet. We still have to add some documentation, which is important if you're going to be publishing your own package. So now we're going to document our functions. This will allow them to be easily understood by others. So for documenting our functions, we use something called 𝗖𝗂 comments. And what this basically means is we're going to add some comments to our functions right here. And when we add these comments, we can automatically generate documentation for our package using this 𝗖𝗂 comment. So you'll see it in action. We're basically going to add comments to each of these, how many functions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 functions. So we're going to add comments to each of these. I think what I'll do is I'll show you how to do it for the first one, and then for the next 4, I'll just copy and paste, just so we don't repeat ourselves. So these comments are different from normal R comments. This is a normal R comment, and it starts with this hash symbol. But these 𝗖𝗂 comments start with a hash symbol and then an apostrophe. Okay. So the first line is going to be a 1-line explanation of what the function does. So that's actually good enough already, the one above. So I'm actually just going to turn that into a 𝗖𝗂 comment. I'm just going to copy and paste what I have for this first one, and then we can walk through it together. So I'm just going to replace this comment that's already here. These are our 𝗖𝗂 comments. So the first line is just a 1-liner explaining what the function does, and then we need to add 4 keywords. So we've got each keyword is prefixed with a @ symbol. So first line, again, is the 1-liner description. Then we have this param line. So this param keyword, this is basically the inputs to our function, and it's just a description of the input. So for our getText function, to remind you, we provide it a URL, and then it pulls the HTML from the web page that URL links to. So that's what the function does. Yeah, the param is the input. So the input to the function obviously is the URL string. The return keyword, that's to represent what is the output of the function. So the output of our function is a character string of the extracted text. So it's just a massive string of the text on that page, basically. Third keyword is examples. So this is just showing an example input, what it might look like. So there we have my channel link in the function like that. And then finally, we use the export keyword, which is going to allow these comments to be used in the documentation. So that's basically the structure. And what I'm going to do is just copy and paste the same thing for our other functions. So for the get subscriber count, which will obviously get the subscriber count for a given URL of a YouTube page, we're going to have the same thing. So 1-liner description, the param keyword is going to explain our inputs, the return keyword is going to explain what the output is. We've got another example, which is just the same as before, and then the export keyword. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste these for our remaining functions so we don't have to repeat ourselves. Okay, we're done. So I'll just quickly scroll through this file for you so you can see we've got our original functions and then the 𝗖𝗁 Gen 2 comments. Great. Okay, so now we've added these comments, we're going to process them into RD files. So we're basically going to process them into documentation files, and we do that again using the DevTools package. So this time we're going to use the DevTools document method. So if I just open R again and I zoom in, so the way we do that again is using the DevTools package. So I'm just going to load that in again because I did exit out. And the command we need to run is devtools : document and then the name of our package. So in my case that would be devtools : document 𝗖𝗁𝗵. If we click enter, we'll see some messages printed to the terminal. So it's saying updating documentation, and then down here you can see it's writing some documentation for each of our functions. And what you also might have noticed is that up in the directory menu on the left hand side here, there's a new folder that's been created called MAN, and that stands for manual. So if we click on that, we now see these files that have been produced, and this is the documentation for each of our 5 functions. So let's just show an example. It doesn't look very readable right now, but once we publish the package, this becomes readable, and this is going to make it easier for others to understand, what each function does. Okay, so now we've created this package and documented it. There's only one more thing to do, and that is to push it to GitHub so that other people can access it. So to do that, the first thing we're going to do is initialize a GitHub repository. Now, you want to make sure that you're inside of the main folder. So our main folder is called 𝗖𝗁𝗵𝗁. We want to make sure we're inside that before we initialize the repo. So let's just check we're inside. I'm now inside this folder. I'm gonna initialize the repo with git init. Okay, so it's initialized the repo for us, and then we use the git add command followed by a period, and this is going to add all our files to the next commit. So after that we'll do git commit followed by a message. Our commit message, I'll just say initial commit. Okay, and once we've done that, we actually need to create a repo on GitHub. So we're going to create a brand new repository on GitHub. I'll just bring one up here. We're going to click new. One thing to note is that you do not want to add a README file. So normally, people will select this button to add a README. You don't want to add that. We want to make it public because we want others to be able to pull this package. And for the name, I'm just going to call it 𝗖𝗁𝗵𝗁. So this is just the same name as we called it in the code, but you can call it whatever you want. Okay, and I'm just going to create this repository. Okay, looks like it's been created for us, and while we're here, just copy this link here, this HTTPS link. We're going to link this GitHub repository to our local repository. So if we go back to the local repository, you want to use the command git remote add origin followed by that link that you copied. Okay, and then there's just one final command that we need to type, and that's git push -u origin master, and we should see all those files be uploaded. Yep, there they go. Okay, now if we just go back and refresh our GitHub repository just to double check everything's been added, and yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's uploaded. Now there's just one more thing that I want to do before I let you go, and that's just test that it works. So test that you can pull this package from GitHub. So I'm just going to bring up a brand new terminal here. I'm going to go into R. And just to prove that I haven't got the package loaded locally, let's just run a test with one of our functions. Get channel name, run this, and as you can see, we get an error. So could not find the function. So now what we're going to do is, again using the DevTools package, we're going to pull that repo that we just created. We're going to pull the package from that repo. So let's load in DevTools, and then we use the command DevTools install _ GitHub, and then parentheses, and then we basically need to add the repo name. Let me just show you. It's basically, well, in this case, it's my username / and then the name of the repo. So I'm just going to copy and paste that into these parentheses, click enter, and that's going to download, as you can see, downloading GitHub repo. It's basically asking us if we'd like to update packages. I'm just going to skip that for now. And then it starts to install the package. Okay, so we're done. Now let's try and run that same command from earlier, this get channel name, to see if it now works. Oh, it doesn't work. Okay, so the reason it didn't work is because we actually need to load the package in once we've installed it. So we've actually installed the package onto, well, I've installed it onto my computer now. So now anytime in the future where I want to use this package, I don't have to use the DevTools install GitHub command. I can simply just, like you would with any other package, use the library command. So I've now loaded in the 𝘖𝗶𝘁𝗵 package, and then let's just go ahead and test that function again, the get channel name. And yeah, you can see it's working. There we go. And that's a wrap on this video. If you found it useful, don't forget to leave a like, and I'll catch you in the next one.